We're joined now by the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer. Thanks for being with us. Do you think Vladimir Putin is committing a war crime here?
Well, he must be held fully to account, and it's clear that we've seen unprovoked aggression, unprovoked invasion by Russia of a European country, and that's why this is such a serious moment. It's why we must stand resolutely and firmly with Ukraine. It's why we must stand united with our NATO allies, other allies, and why here in the United Kingdom our political parties must stand united as well. And that is why we have been very clear as the Labour Party, the official opposition, that we support that united stance in supporting Ukraine, that we are unshakable in our support of NATO. It's very important because Putin wants to see NATO and our allies divided. Putin wants to see political parties in the United Kingdom and elsewhere divided, and we are not going to be divided.
But the reality is that a free, independent, democratic country in the middle of Europe is about to be overrun, or we assume that the Russian forces, the strength of the Russian forces will prevail, about to be overrun by an autocratic dictatorship.
And that is that invasion is going on. The Ukrainian military and army are fighting courageously. The people of Ukraine are showing incredible courage. We must put in the strongest possible support, united with our allies, and that's why, although I didn't think the sanctions that our government put forward earlier in the week were strong enough, a stronger package has gone in now yesterday. I've indicated that we, the Labour Party, will support that. I want to see the government go even further than that. But in the past, we have not been strong enough in response to Putin. That has given him the idea that the benefits of his aggression outweigh the costs, and we cannot allow that to happen again. The package we put in now must be enough not just to isolate Russia, but to cripple its ability to function.
You say in the past we haven't been strong enough with Putin. Isn't the problem here that you supported a Labour leader who actually wanted a weaker NATO, not a stronger NATO?
The Labour Party, was there at the founding of NATO. Bevin, then the Secretary of State, Labour Secretary of State, signed the treaty that I saw for myself in Brussels when I visited NATO headquarters 2 weeks ago to express our unshakable support for NATO. So Labour's support of NATO has been there from the very, very beginning. And even in the last 5 years, we've never
Jeremy Corbyn, sorry to interrupt, but Jeremy Corbyn wanted to stop the expansion of NATO. And as I say, you were supporting him as leader.
Well, let me be very clear. The Labour Party has never wavered in its support of NATO. Our policy has never changed. Jeremy Corbyn was wrong about that, but the Labour Party policy never shifted under his leadership. And I've been very clear. That's why I went to Brussels to meet the Secretary-General just 2 weeks ago to express our support for the action in relation to Ukraine, but also to send a wider message in relation to the Labour Party that, true to our history, our traditions, and to the signing of the treaty in the first place, our support for NATO is unshakable.
And what do you make of what Putin is doing here? I've just been speaking to Ben Wallace, who says that the man is clearly not acting rationally or logically. Do you agree with that?
Well, very hard for any of us to express clear views on what's going on in Putin's head. I do think that the collective failure of the West, if you like, in relation to action he's taken in the past, so many examples, Georgia, Crimea, Donbass, have given him the sense that, as I say, the benefits of his aggression outweigh the costs. We have to be clear that isn't the case here in relation to Ukraine, and that package, the response package from the rest of the world, will be so strong that it will not only isolate Russia, but also cripple its ability to function.
Right, and just to be clear on sanctions, you think we should be going further in regards, for instance, to the SWIFT banking, the payment system?
The SWIFT banking payment system, further measures in relation to sovereign debt in Russia, and very importantly, further measures here in the UK in relation to shell companies that are backing Russia, that are there as depositories for Russian money. We have to break those companies open. That's going to require legislation. We should have done this years ago, frankly. It's going to require legislation. I indicated in Parliament yesterday that if that legislation is brought forward, and it could be brought forward on Monday, we will support it. It could go through the House of Commons very, very quickly, because there is no dispute here that we need to take this action.
Well, there is dispute. It doesn't seem like the EU or the United States want to do that.
Well, we need to persuade our allies to take this step, and we, the United Kingdom, need to take a lead in it. In relation to SWIFT, that action needs to be taken in relation to Russian sovereign debt. But in relation to the shell companies here in the United Kingdom, we in the United Kingdom can take the action to break open and get behind these shell companies, look at the real beneficiaries, and take appropriate action where there's any connection, any support with Putin and his regime.
Keir Starmer, thanks for being with us this morning.